it going? This is Royal and Vangela hosting Talk Show Central RTV style tonight. We have a fantastic show for you guys. We are going to hold on. Let me. Okay, what's it going on over here? Hold on. All right. So we got a great. I had the other computer going on. The volume was full blast. But guys, we got a great show. We got Adela and we got Edward, Adrian. That's coming in. So let me bring him in. Hey Adela, how's it going? This is Royal from Talk Show Central RTV style. How's it going?
It's going very well. Thank you.
Right. Well, let me bring in Edward. Hey, sir. How's it going, Edward? You doing all right?
Yes, sir. Howdy.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you're here because I hear that you're the man of the hour. You're the man that's going to give us the ins and outs of all of this stuff coming in. How's it going? Okay, let's see. Hi was walking by your neck of the woods an hour ago. Hey, well, great, So, I don't know if you saw the intro, but we had people of different ages, just smoking, But what really got to me was this picture here. Let me share this with you because this is one of the reasons we're here. Hold on, let me go with this one up here. There we go, full size it. And this is why we're doing this show, because our youth, our little kiddies, this is no longer about high schoolers. This is no longer about middle schoolers. Elementary kids are being affected by this, whether some parents think they know it or not. Am I right, sir?
Yes, sir.
And they are the target. Our precious treasures are becoming the target. Now, notice this picture. She's sucking on a sweet all-American lollipop. And it tastes like a sweet all-American lollipop, but it's got other stuff in there. And so with that, Edward, and Adela, give us a little bit of introduction to this.
Well, Mr. Edward Adrian Sandoval is the supervisory assistant district attorney for Cameron County, and he has been working very hard in educating the public by going to the schools and by preparing PowerPoint presentations regarding the dangers of vape smoking. And that's why I asked that he come with me to this program, because he's got an awesome presentation. And let me tell you, he's working very, very hard in protecting our youth from becoming addicts and from becoming from all the problems that they will incur regarding this. And I'll pass that on to him.
Sure. Take it away, Edward. I have your bullet point here. Just tell me when to start or that kind of deal, and let's see if I got it, because I was having a little bit of problems with it, but
You pick the image, and I can provide the feedback.
All right, cool. Let's start with that. In between, Vangela is a school administrator. Vangela, tell us a little bit of what you do and all that kind of deal, and then that we can get started.
So I'll talk about my experience as an administrator, high school administrator. I've had to deal with students vaping, smoking marijuana, THC, being arrested in front of their peers, being taken away by our school SRO. This was in close to San Antonio, where I used to work. In here locally, I've seen it as well. And so the dangers are there, but also the peer pressure. Kids don't really understand how dangerous this could be, and how it could affect, how deadly it could be, and how it could affect their future if they are actually in possession of things such as THC and so forth.
Great. Well, thank you. Well, let me get right to the pictures then. Hold on, let me see. I hope I get it right. All right. This is a different format for me, but here it goes. All right, here we go. So this is the first picture that I got. Did I get the right pictures?
But yeah, we myself and Precinct 5 were preparing to give a presentation in La Feria. So the presentation we shared was tailored to a La Feria presentation along with the Precinct 5 deputies. What's concerning about I just opened out of the box. Texas law does not distinguish between e-cigarettes and vaping and tobacco cigarettes. So in Texas, you have to be 21 years of age to purchase and to use cigarettes. And,
Wow.
and so when I say cigarettes, that's both what you would traditionally think as cigarettes and e-cigarettes, which is the cartridges used the devices for vaping and the materials used for vaping. So out of the box, anyone that's a school age child should not be in possession of any type of vaping device or vaping paraphernalia because they're just not. It's against the law, and because of that, you'll see a majority of school districts making it against their policy to possess the vaping devices and vaping paraphernalia on campus because it is a crime. Now, what concerns us from a public health perspective is not necessarily the kids using the nicotine based products or things that are sold commercially that are coming from licensed vendors and coming from folks who have some type of reputable background. It's the things that are being bought off the black market.
Wow.
And because we don't know what's in those substances,
Yeah.
and we don't know what chemicals are being used to mix in with what the kids are using to vape, and that's just not whether they're vaping nicotine, things that taste like fruit juices, or as Evangeline made reference to, THC cartridges. Now, what you got presented there, that's the breakdown of our 2021 felony drug arrests at the time we wrote the presentation. And if you look at 50% of our arrests for felonies is going to be cocaine, and our next biggest, route is going to be the THC oil, and that's what's concerning. You see a lot of folks getting picked up for that possession of the oil, and many of them don't understand the distinction between vaping THC oil and smoking marijuana, because it's the THC oil that's in the marijuana that makes you high. Why is there a difference between the oil and the marijuana? And it's because the law has some stark distinctions.
Right.
And what we can look back to, the example that we use when we talk about in a professional setting is way back in the 90s when we had the crack and powder cocaine distinction. Crack and powder cocaine, really, they're the same thing, the same substance, but the law treated them very much differently. And crack cocaine was treated very much more harshly.
Right.
So THC, whereas in possession of simple marijuana, a small ounce or even a joint, you're looking at a Class B misdemeanor arrest. That's up to 180 days in county jail, minimum fine. Whereas THC oil, or someone who's got a similar amount of oil, well, that's treated as a penalty group 2 controlled substance. We're looking at on same par as cocaine. So a minimum amount, a usable amount of THC is going to be treated just like a minimum amount of cocaine. So that's straight out of the box state jail felony.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of rights that you'll lose when you're convicted of a felony and convicted of felony drug offense. And if you're on a school campus, you're going to see the drug-free zone enhancement. So a minimum amount of THC, you're going to get arrested for that possession, and it may be enhanced to a drug-free zone. So you're looking at a third degree, 2 to 10 years in prison.
And let me interrupt you here. We're trying to save the good kids, right? Because there's some kids that don't any better, that think it's, well, like I said, it's introduced to them like a fun product, like candy or whatever, and all of a sudden they're faced with charges that that would be equivalent to somebody, getting a gun and shooting somebody, or somebody stealing, a grocery store or something like that. In other words, they got caught with, they didn't know what they were doing. These are a lot of these kids don't know what they're doing, and they're getting into trouble and they're getting records that's going to ruin the rest of their lives. Am I right?
And you hit it on point. So one cartridge of one THC vial from the weight, just full vial in your possession, that's going to be a second-degree felony. So that's 2 to 20. That's the same type of crime as robbery, as sexual assault, as burglary of a habitation. That is treated just as harsh as those type of felonies. So that is the disparity that we have in our current legal system. And so what we don't want our kids being picked up for that, because we don't want them losing their future. We don't want them getting tagged with a felony at 17 years old, especially over a petty drug offense, which in their mind they may think they're just smoking marijuana, but they're not. And it carries some severe punishments with it.
Wow.
That is the issue, and that is the problem, that many, not only kids but also adults, believe that it's no big deal, that it's the same as marijuana, and the punishment range is much more severe because that's how the law is designated, and that is the problem, and awareness needs to be made regarding that. And that's what Mr. Sandoval has been doing for a long time, and trying to make people aware of not only the health issues but also the legal consequences.
We got a parent here. It says, my biggest fear is my boy goes into middle school next year, right? Do you go into the classroom to spread awareness of consequences of vaping? And just curious.
Yes, and in fact, so what we had a hard press movement pre-pandemic, and that was because right before the pandemic hit, you saw a public health crisis where we had widespread hospitalizations, and the common denominator was vaping usage amongst the youth, and you saw people presenting signs of pneumonia, but not having the infection. Having collapsed lungs, having inability to breathe, and what the CDC tied it back to was black market use of black market THC oils, and it had to do with an extract that was used that normally would not be harmless, but the way it was mixed and vaped had cataclysmic effects.
It's all about the chemistry, right? It's all about the chemistry. Now, explain to us this picture. I mean, there's a picture of a penny, but you know why the picture of the penny? And I assume that's some sort of powder or some sort of drug.
So our new kind of concern, in addition to THC, but and this is not just we're concerned with THC usage with the young, but general drug use across the board is a new drug called fentanyl, and fentanyl is a synthetic drug, and we're seeing folks use it to cut cocaine. So
that's what this is, right? This picture.
Yeah, it's mixed into cocaine and mixed in with other chemicals. So what you're seeing, I mean, typically with the drug users buying cocaine, they're not buying pure cocaine off the street. They're buying a substance that's mixed with a whole bunch of other stuff, maybe baby powder, a laxative, or some vitamins. And you see dealers adding fentanyl to it to give a high. Now, if you go back to the pinning, fentanyl is uber very, very volatile and can kill you. And in fact, the DEA's message is that amount of fentanyl directly used will cause an overdose.
Yes, even breathing it in, correct? Just being around it. And that's why a lot of times our officers, like my husband, who's a state trooper, when they pull somebody over, they have to be extremely careful when they're searching vehicles, because if they even get in contact with just a little bit of fentanyl, it could be deadly.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, I see.
And
I assume that in some cases, you know, a kid's pranking other kids could not thinking of the consequence, the overall picture might give a little bit, like a little crumb to somebody, or put a little crumb in somebody's, for instance, lunch plate, and that kid eats it, and boom, that kid has problems now, right?
Yes, and if you go to the next slide, we'll see the worst case scenario. And in fact, there's a Donna man that's being charged for selling fentanyl-laced cocaine and killing someone in McAllen. And that's the worst case scenario. in which where someone is using something, they're not realizing what's in it, and they're losing their lives because of it. And our general statement is folks really shouldn't use drugs, but we understand that folks make decisions, but to me, make informed decisions, because loss of life is the worst thing that we can have.
Yeah.
There's
What
your
is this? I've
THC.
never heard of this.
Well, that's what THC is. THC stands
Okay.
for tetrahydrocannabinoid, and
Okay.
that's the chemical name for THC. If you look at what makes you high from the use of marijuana, the substance itself is called delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinoid, and
Okay.
that's the hallucinogen that's in the cannabinoid, that gets you that euphoric feeling. Now there's different forms of THC. There's a substance called delta 8 that's being litigated right now, but in Texas prohibits all tetrahydrocannabinoids.
And let me just tell you, if you go back to that picture,
All
Royal,
right. Hold on.
at the school level, when we get a kid that has a vape cartridge and it's that color, it looks like honey. And this is for parents out there, if they're not sure what their kid is using, look at the cartridge, tilt it. If it's really slow, almost like a real thick honey,
Mhm.
there's a good possibility that is THC. If it's liquidy, then it's probably just a regular vape cartridge. But THC is real thick and honey-like.
Wow. Wow.
And it's new to us. We saw before this kind of like before the onset of the craze, we saw THC in the street level use, which is they make a wax, or eventually hit on it. They called it a honey. It's this
Yeah.
kind of yellow substance that would make from stems and stalks. But that's kind of gone by the wayside because of the commercial availability of the cartridges.
And Ray, I'd like to add a little bit about
Sure.
how the COVID pandemic has affected the use by our youth regarding the THC or illegal vape pen. And I'd like Mr. Edward Sandoval to talk a little bit about that, how there is a connection between COVID and the illegal use of or substance abuse.
Right.
Yes, and Adela sitting on if you read the Surgeon General warnings or advisories that have been coming out lately, and even listen to our local health authority in Cameron County, Dr. Castillo, we have severe concern about the mental health of our youth. We've kind of locked them away for 2 years, and now
Yeah.
we put them back, and that's led to a lot of anxieties and a lot of butting of heads. So our kids are not knowing how to deal with the frustration. And the example is adults. We're having difficulty dealing with the
Yeah.
lasting effects of the pandemic. Imagine teenagers. It's horrible being a teenager as it is.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And pile on the effects of the pandemic. So we're seeing kids having heightened levels of anxiety, more frequent forms of depression. And so what they're doing is unfortunately self-medicating. And what we've seen is that consistent use of illegal substances. And now what the CDC has seen is a decrease in alcohol consumption. And that can be attributed to that the kids can't get together with one another. But we continue to see the use of illegal drugs. And we believe it's a form of self-medication. So if we can be engaged, talk to our kids about how they're feeling, let
Yeah.
them know it's okay to have anxieties, let them know what they're feeling is real and that we care for them, that can move them a step
I
forward
agree.
in helping with their well-being
Wow.
and avoiding them looking to self-medicate.
Wow. Anything about on this picture here?
So this is dank. It was a form of black market THC that was available on Instagram pre-pandemic. I'm not sure how it is doing right now. This was concerning to law enforcement officials and our public health officials because we didn't know where it was coming from. We didn't know where it was manufactured. We didn't know who was marketing it. But a lot of folks were using it, and they believe this and other black market THC vials were the cause of the detrimental effects of those kids having to be hospitalized pre-pandemic.
I think. Go ahead, Angela.
I would say, look at the pictures, the fruity flavors and all that. And if you go back to that very first picture that you showed us of that little girl sucking on an all-American lollipop,
Yeah.
fruity flavor, so when they taste this, it tastes familiar to them. They
Yeah,
like it.
it's being
Yeah,
marketed to kids. It's
Wow.
unfortunate, but that's what folks were doing.
And so I guess what's happening here, let me get a parent here. What is Delta 8? Because I've heard of it from adults using these gummies, saying it's more natural or better.
So what's Delta 8 THC is a form of tetrahydrocannabinoid. It just has a different isotope or different isomer. So it's not classified as the Delta 9. Now the Controlled Substances Act prohibits all THCs, whether it be Delta 8, Delta 9,
Right.
Delta 10. It even makes reference to Delta 6 in the code. But there's litigation pending right now where producers of Delta 8 are trying to compel the state of Texas to allow them to market their products
Right.
in Texas because it's not specifically prohibited. The health and safety commissioner, in fact, had administratively labeled Delta 8 as a controlled substance, and they're litigating that issue right now. So folks are trying to sell it. It has a mild hallucinogenic effect, but it's not quite as intense as substances that have Delta 9.
Yeah, and I guess what you're really telling us is that the pushers, the the pushers have now upgraded their game. They're no longer on street corners behind the alleys selling their drugs. They're now up front. They're on eBay. They're on Facebook. They're on TikTok.
Well,
I mean, is that what you're telling us?
What's important to make the distinction that there's the black market folks who are using Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok to market their products, and they're wholly no supervision whatsoever. And then there's the folks that have hemp licenses, because hemp has been legalized in Texas.
Right.
It's been legalized in the United States, and the definition of hemp is cannabis sativa L with a THC level of less than 0.03%. So it's the definition of marijuana is cannabis sativa L. It's the same plant. It just has a lower THC level.
Right.
So those folks are trying to market their products. They're trying to get the rules to benefit themselves, but there's at least some type of administrative oversight and some type of government regulation for the products that they're selling. So it is in a sense legal, but it's out in the front. This is not in the alleys and back streets anymore.
Right. Yeah, and I think you saw the next picture of Andrew. Do you want to show that or?
Sure. Let's. So Andrew Hall, and we found his story online, and
Right.
this is one of the implicit kind of dangers of using THC in vaping devices, because it's implicit on you as the user to take care of the device that you use. So you got to make sure it's clean. You got to make sure it's charged. And the issue with Andrew, he overcharges the device, and it blew up in his face.
Oh wow! Here, let's get to a parent here again. Lynn, why are these products available everywhere if it is still in? It makes the consequences of buying something at a convenience store very convenient as far as the punishment.
Yes. So the products that are available at convenience stores, and it would be CBD oils and things that are hemp derivatives. They don't have any hallucinogens in them. So the folks who are selling them have licenses to sell them, and they're regulated by the Texas Department of Agriculture and the Texas Health Department.
And I guess those would be okay.
Well, I can't speak to them, but there is some type of regulatory authority governing their production and their sale.
Now, that doesn't mean to say, though, that some people are, there are places that do sell these things that are on the black market in, like drive-throughs, the little stores that are drive-throughs.
Right.
I've worked at an alternative center here in the Valley, and that's some of my kids. That's what they say, that's where they get them from. They have their places. They know where to get them from.
They know where to go.
Right. They're not out in sight, but they know who to ask.
Wow. All right. So let me move on to the next picture. Okay, this is the same guy, right? Yeah.
Well, this is a different gentleman, and
Okay.
we found his story online. And this is the before, and the next page is going to be the after. And if you go 2 slides down, which we'll talk about, the lasting effects. And this is the pre-pandemic exposure to THC use in vaping. Now we've seen a decline in these effects, but it was rooted in what the CDC believes what was the use of THC cartridges that had a certain additive to it, and that was the basis for them reaching the conclusion that they reached. And what you saw was these were athletic folks. They admitted to being nicotine and THC users, and they presented with symptoms of nausea, vomiting, and trouble breathing. So absent treatment, this person would have died. Now, post treatment, he's functioning with the lungs of a 70-year-old.
Yeah, that's what I was reading. 7-year-old man. I mean, this kid's what, maybe 19 or 18 or something like that.
Mid-20s. And what we saw, this was what a lot of young folks went through during that pre-pandemic exposure to the vaping products. Now, and again, I'm not saying that all vaping products are bad, or all vaping products are going to kill you, but there were certain black market products that people were using that are dangerous because we don't know what's in them.
Right. All right. So, and there's Piper Johnson.
Yes,
18-year-old.
And it's the same thing. She presented shortness of breath, presented like she had pneumonia. She was put in intensive care, and they told her she was about 36 hours away from death had they not intervened.
Oh my God! Wow. This doesn't come through. Oh, it's coming through here. Okay. Well, you want to talk about this, or do you want to move into? Let's see here. Okay. Okay. So the consequences, you're going to get expelled. No right to vote. Okay. What are you talking about here? No right to vote.
Well, if you're a felon,
you're right.
in Texas for the duration of your disability, I mean, you can regain the right to vote at some time, but for the duration of your disability, you don't have the right to vote.
Orale. And no right to have a gun. Obviously, curfews. Orale.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess at that point you'd be wearing like a monitor or something like that.
Well, it depends on the type of supervision that you may, and I say it's the type of supervision you may end up on, because practically speaking, first-time offenders aren't probably going to go to prison for this type of offense. So you're likely going to end on some type of supervision, and comes with that curfews and restrictions.
And so, obviously, no bars and no clubs, but yet it's in the bars and the clubs.
Yes, sir.
So it's like. But the point here is that we want to keep it off the schools.
Yes, sir.
Because it's going to be in the clubs regardless. Yeah. Restricted travel because obviously you're on house arrest or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Cool. And plus you're going to have a criminal record and the whole bit, and obviously you're not going to have the opportunities to get the jobs you want because
I actually I had a conversation with a student about that. He was caught with an empty THC cartridge. And when I had asked him if he had it, of course, he denied that he had anything, but he did have that. So obviously, if it was empty, you can only speculate what happened. And then I asked him, how old are you? 16. Okay. At 17, you're considered an adult and you can be, the consequences could be more severe. I said, but what have you thought about what you want to do in the future? Your job. And, he's like, no, not really. And I said, okay. And, that's okay. And I said, my husband was once young and dumb and all he wanted to do was skate and, didn't really want to have a job or anything. But now look, he's in his 30s. He decided he wanted to be a state trooper. Had he done something like this, he could have never have been a state trooper. And I said, well, what if that's something later on you decide you want that or any type of government job? The first thing they're going to do is a background check. So the choices you make now when it comes to this kind of stuff will affect your future for sure.
Yeah. And we'll welcome Erasmo Castro. How's it going, Erasmo? I'm glad you're here. Any comments on this?
No, thank you so much for having me on. I think it's a very important topic to touch on. I know that one of the big issues that we have in our schools is a lot of individuals, they think it's a easy little fix to go into the restroom or to go out behind the buildings, and they have nothing, they think that there's no consequences to it. I think there's just a need for more education in regards to what's out there and a lot of the consequences. But even so, I think that something that needs to be worked on is, getting in touch with a lot of the individuals that are reside in our poorest areas here inside the community, because a lot of them have a lack of have access to a lot of the different resources that are out there. But I do appreciate the district attorney's office. I know that they're very active in regards to going to our schools and trying to educate our students out there. I think the question that I would ask is, what other can we do as a community in order to help law enforcement? We have Miss Adela here as well. And what can we do in regards to help out the judicial system to lessen their caseload in regards to getting these kids out there?
Yes, we're going to be working on several programs where, together with the district attorney's office and Mr. Sandoval, as you know, I work with him. We're going to try to implement some programs in which we will try to help our youth overcome the need to do the vaping. Maybe they have some mental issues and also some addictions. And we're going to try to do that without giving them a criminal record, which is my main concern. One of them is to help them overcome any addictions, help them overcome the mental issues that they might be suffering that may lead to them self-medicating. And finally, for them not to have a record, for them to be able to get on with their lives, right, and be able to be productive citizens. And I'll also ask Mr. Sandoval, who will explain in detail what it's not implemented yet. It's still in the works, but I promise you we are working on that.
And I think we're gonna definitely need something where the court system, like yourselves, can work with the school districts, because students need to be educated, but parents need to be educated, and because it's like these are not the drugs that we grew up hearing about. These are fancy drugs that are coming with camouflage, and they're attacking our little kids. They're attacking our elementary kids.
Well, I appreciate what the judge just said, and I appreciate Mr. Sandoval as well. Because one of the things that I dealt with when I was working with the school district was, a lot of times our law enforcement, our BISD police, automatically they wanted to go like, well, let's charge them with a felony. I go like, whoa, hold on.
Well, I think not that they want. From what I hear, it's not that they want to do it, but they're sort of they have no choice. And I'll ask Ms. Vangela Churchill about that. It's because if they commit a felony, then that's the process. Am I correct, Ms. Churchill?
Yes. And I know if it's THC, it's automatically, you have to call.
My concern is that it was a lower grade. It wasn't even a THC, but and I think part of the problem that happens is when you start giving out misinformation in regards to saying this is and this is one of the things I had an issue with our BIS police. If you go out there and tell them that this is the worst case scenario, then we're going to have a lot less individuals wanting to come up and be a part of what the judge just mentioned in regards to, let's go to the root of the problem in regards to why are you using, how can you help, curb that desire, curb that need, or that, what issues are you going through at home that we may be able to solve? O sea, nip it at the bud, I would say.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just peer pressure. Sometimes that's all it is, but that's how it starts, right? And that's how they become addicted.
But that's how it starts.
Exactly. And Adela hit that. Adela mentioned it, and I can tell you over the past few months we've been working with BISD for them to roll out a first offender program.
Yes.
Where the idea would be that BISD, if they detained and arrested a student, that it was their first offense for this type of drug offense, there'd be an administrative referral. There'd be some type of administrative sanction at the school, or they'd be put on some type of remedial program, some type of community involvement. And if they're successful, then the case is never referred to our office for consideration.
That way, it'll be just treated administratively by the school. Right. That's what I would like to see.
So it's a work in progress. We've had ongoing discussions with BISD, and our hopes is that this will help some of the students that are making bad choices or making ill-informed choices or making mistakes, and give them an opportunity to still be successful in life.
And I think the point is they're making ill-informed. They don't know what they're doing. It's cool, or Johnny's doing it. Johnny offered it to Jorge, and Panchito took it, and all of a sudden everybody's cool. Everybody's doing it. Information. These guys are just not getting it.
Now, aren't there some? I know some districts or some judges in some counties have students go through some sort of a program where they have to learn about the stuff like what we're looking at right now.
Right.
So our juvenile justice program does have a drug diversion program that has been trying to get launched. Unfortunately, the kickoff happened. The kind of kickoff coincided with the onset of the pandemic. So things got stalled. But they're looking at identifying our juvenile addicts and trying to get them diverted into a type of drug court program to where we're dealing with the addiction issue. If you're an addict, you're sick.
Right.
You're not a bad person. You're not a malcontent. You need help, and recognizing that and trying to get them the help that they need so they can be successful.
Yes.
Now,
Go ahead, Vangela.
What I've noticed is some of the kids that I've dealt with are actually really good kids, and they've made some bad choices, and now they're addicted. They go to rehab, they get out of rehab, and they don't have a choice in regards to who they hang around with, who's surrounding them, their lifestyle, their family members, and then they become addicted again, and it just becomes a cycle. So my thing is, how can we help those kids? They don't. I had a girl one time in my class, and she was just shaking and sweating, and I was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And it was because she was trying to, come clean, get clean, and that was what was happening. And so, what did she do? She went home and she got high again, because that's the only way she knew how to do it.
Well, one of the I think, and I'm glad that Ms. Churchill mentioned that. One of the things that I've noticed, there's different programs out there that that appeal to a lot of the young kids right now. I don't know if y'all have heard of the show called Euphoria on the HBO, but that show in itself, I mean, it just in a way it started off glorifying drug use amongst teens, and I think that's a part of another issue. How are we going to deal and tackle such situations when they're completely out of our control? But I think we also need, besides programs that educate our kids out there, we do need some programs that educate parents out there. They need to be a little bit more vigilant.
Definitely, it starts at home. Definitely, we need the assistance, and we need the cooperation of the parents, and we need to work on that too. Fortunately, with
and how does that happen? How does that happen? I mean, like, for instance, in Brownsville, do you get in touch with BISD, or is how open is BISD to working with you guys and bringing in this program into the system?
I know that the district attorney's office, they have an amazing program out there that is geared towards bringing awareness in regards to the dangers of drug use, and maybe it's just more collaboration with a different other type of entities out here in the city of Brownsville or in Cameron County that may be able to do a little bit of more outreach, so that that we'll be all working together on the same page.
Yeah, because it seems like they got a great program, so we need to incorporate it. We need to, or I don't know.
Mr. Sandoval, is this presentation that you show this to students? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Anybody that will listen, I will show up and give the talk.
And that's why I brought him here today, because and this is not the only PowerPoint that he prepared. I have several that he has done. And I will take him everywhere where they will accept him.
Because I think school districts would benefit from having like a parent night and sharing this kind of things with their parents too, not just the students. Yes. But here's the deal: with COVID and everything, parents are not wanting to come to the schools.
Right.
So we got to be creative in figuring out how we can do that and bring
Maybe
families
meetings
together.
at libraries or something like that. And yes,
Libraries too
Abigail,
small.
this is hopefully going towards all schools in Cameron or wherever, because it's not only a Cameron County issue; it's a Hidalgo issue, it's a Star issue, it's a Kennedy issue, it's a Texas issue, it's a United States issue.
It's
Every
nationwide.
it's nationwide.
Well,
How can we stay educated on the new terms as they, I guess, check
Change.
weekly on the new drugs laced with harmful fillers? We need a program to educate parents as well, so that we can talk to our kids. Yeah, that's true. Knowing how to talk to the kids about this.
Well, and that's something we can do. And talking about the schools, we'll go to any school district that invites us. Our most recent one was Santa Maria, and we did it via Zoom. Talking about parent involvement, we've attended parent classes in the evening and parent conferences to share information that they've asked us to address. If any type of criminal justice, public health concern, if there's a topic, we will talk about it. If there's someone in the office that has an expertise, we'll address it. And if not, we don't have something written, we'll make it happen. And in addition to just the drug issue, we're commonly talking about dating violence, bullying, cyber safety, different topics that have a concern for public well-being, but have a convergence with criminal justice matters.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we welcome the opportunity. And again, if we're invited, we'll be there, and we'll find someone to have the talk if I'm unable to be there.
Wow, that's
Now,
great. That's good to
Would
know.
you be willing to go outside of Cameron County?
Yes.
Yes,
okay,
we do.
okay.
And in fact, I've spoken in Williston County before, and we've received invitations for Hidalgo County. It hasn't worked out, but we'll go to anybody that wants to listen to us. The geography isn't a concern, and in fact, we have a very good working relationship with the other offices in the Rio Grande Valley. All four district attorneys regularly meet about regional issues, and when we're engaged in sharing of information with one another. Again, what we want to ensure is that our kids are making good choices and good
Yes.
decisions and being informed, and recognizing that there's things that can hurt them. As for the new kind of things vogue, we'll do what we can in sharing information. The current crisis is fentanyl.
Yes.
I mean, that's the big concern.
That's just coming across the border.
Yeah, they're picking lots of it up on the border.
If you can, there's a private chat there. If you could put your information, I can put it on here.
I mean, my email is my first name and my last name at co.cameron at edward.sandoval.
Or they can call me, and I will. I can also go speak to the. I can also do that as well. And I'm on Facebook. Mr. Sandoval has like a private Facebook or something like that, but mine's pretty open. So, so they can contact me. I'll be more than glad to either get Mr. Sandoval or myself, and I will show Mr. Sandoval's PowerPoint. By the way, he's the one that prepared it, but I can present it as well.
Yeah. And I apologize. My Facebook will not accept messages from folks that I don't know.
I hear you.
It's rooted in we make some interesting discussions. We make some interesting policy decisions in the office that draw feedback from folks. So that's why I've elected to have that. But I mean, that's my public email. If you've got questions or concerns, please email me. We will try to help in getting information out to folks that we can.
And I just put it on the chat. It's going to be there. Edward Sandoval at CO Cameron, Texas, US.
And you can put mine as well if they.
All right, just send it. Put it on the private chat, and I'll copy and paste. So yeah. Wow, interesting. Erasmo, anything? I know you got to go to a show in a little bit. You got your own show, but any last words for you?
No, I said thank y'all so much for taking time out of y'all's day to come on out here and share information. Again, I think that if all of us could start using our platforms, to bring awareness to the different things out there, I think it'd be a great service to the community.
Yeah.
One thing that I'd hope that we start fomenting here locally is that culture of working together with the judicial system, with the school districts, with the
Yeah.
universities, with the college, and with individuals as ourselves that actually have a platform out there, and work together, because it's the only way we're going to be able to reach all those individuals out there.
Yeah.
So, Judge, Ms. Churchill, and Mr. Sandoval, thank y'all so much for everything that y'all do for our community. It's greatly appreciated. Royal, thank you for what you do.
Hey,
And
thank you.
I'm going to sign off, guys. Thank y'all so much. God bless.
Erasmo, thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah.
You're always welcome to Talk Show Central RTV style, man. You're the man.
Appreciate that, guys. God bless.
Andale, bye-bye. Thank you.
Right.
And I welcome, and Mr. Erasmo hit on this and availability. We offer assistance to folks that are victims of crime and in need of services. We understand that there's some intimidation factor in coming to our downtown office. We host an office in Texas Southmost College. If you want to come and talk about things or ask for resources for us to refer you, we are in the Leitner building. Our advocates there every Thursday afternoon. Just drop in, and it'll look like you're going to financial aid, and we can point you towards some resources that are available.
Well, I think that's a great idea, because sometimes people come to Erasmo for help, and he can walk them in over there, and to talk with you guys, because somebody like Erasmo, man, he's got the ears of a lot of people and a lot of voters, and so it's always good to be informed and have a welcome Matt ready and willing to talk to each other. So yeah,
Well,
Is there?
I will say real quick before I leave. I've always appreciated the work that the district attorney's office does, always, and I've always had a great working relationship with them, and I know that we will continue to have a great working relationship, because I literally sent individuals out there that where I've had situations where crime has been reported to me, and they are on it immediately. So. Thank you all so much again to District Attorney Luis Saenz and to all the staff out there. We do greatly appreciate y'all, man. And Judge, congratulations on.
Thank you, Mr. Erasmo. Thank you very much.
And I've followed you.
I haven't been sworn in as judge yet. Let me please explain that.
You're judge. Let me say, I am a very good friend of your son, and I love him. And
Noe Garza.
I love Noe. We've good friends, and I know that you're going to do an amazing job, Judge. And we're very, very blessed to have you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
God bless.
Hey, Erasmo, thanks a lot, man. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So,
Royal, what
yes.
you've done is, you've brought different people together that can
Yeah.
create a group, a powerful group,
Yes.
and change the dynamics of what's happening out there. I think if we come together and we all have very good ideas. And what you're doing, Mr. Sandoval, Miss Adele, man, it's great. If we could go in together and go to more than just Brownsville ISD, it needs to happen. It's getting worse and worse. I belong to a lot of groups online and for principals, and some of the things that they're doing to tackle this is put vape detectors in restrooms. That's not being preventive or proactive.
Or posters, some kind of, it's better than nothing, but that's what I've been told, that they're putting advertisements in terms of posters around campus.
Yes, they are.
And I think what I'm hearing here, I'm hearing from Vangela here is like, help me, help me, come over and help me, because they're in the front line of this war. You guys are like the generals over there in the background. I know you're also fighting, but you're in the, you're more like the generals. But Vangela's in the front line, and she's dealing with this, and you guys have the answers. So I think the thing is that the school districts and your office need to get together, need to work together, and I know you guys have what it takes to stop this. But I think there needs to be a communication or an acceptance of you guys coming in, and that I mean, I don't know. I learned so much from this presentation. Adela sent it to me, and I was like floored. I was talking with Vangela right before, and I go, man, this is gonna be heavy. This is, and of course I'm telling Vangela, and Vangela's like, dude, it's like I see it every day, you know. But you know, it's like Lynn was commentating, hey man, we need help. You know, we need to talk. You know, she's over here telling us, please leave your information for us parents to pass. Oh, well, that. But I think even before she's saying, oh, this one, Ray, please leave this live available for replay so I can rewatch it with my son. I mean, that is what parents need to do. And
what
this
that
video will be there forever.
Yeah, and what that tells you is that her son is not being made aware of the consequences of what's happening. And as a parent who loves her son, she's learning about it so she can relay that information.
Not especially the sixth, those kids going into the 6th grade. You know, I think you know that things really change at that point, because 6th graders, there's so much peer pressure on them. And but then if it's happening in elementary, I mean, is it happening in elementary here in the Valley?
We don't know because I need to check the statistics.
Yeah.
The juvenile statistics are separate from the main office because of the confidentiality associated with juvenile stats. So I can't comment as to whether or not we're seeing this picked up in the elementary schools.
Not only that, the confidentiality issue because of their minors, that is also an issue. But common sense tells you that pretty much that is a concern.
Wow.
I will tell you, when I worked at the Alternative Center, it was mostly the largest population we had obviously was the high school. We had about 100 high schoolers. And then we had some middle schoolers, I want to say maybe 40, 50 middle schoolers. And then we had one student from elementary.
But I think that the education should begin in elementary because prevention is the key. So if we can scare them enough at the, we can educate them in high school, but I want to prepare some kind of PowerPoint that is
caters to
young people, but that's where it should begin. It should begin in elementary. Period.
It's like teaching high schoolers to read, right? We don't start at high school.
I'm working on that. As you know, one of my nephews is he works with a puppet for Sesame Street, and we're gonna prepare some.
We need to get him on the show.
He's gonna come, and we're gonna prepare some kind of little presentation with him using the puppet, the Sesame Street puppet. That's in the works. Let's see how I can get it done and to show to very, very young people.
That's awesome.
That would be huge.
Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get at. That's my project, Let's see how it goes. But that's what I'm gonna do.
Wow. Well, guys, this has been a great show. There's still a lot more information, guys. We're gonna do this maybe once a week or maybe every other week and bring this topic back, because there's so much more that wasn't talked about tonight. One of the things, there was a lawyer that called me up here. He wanted to come in and talk about the defense of it, and that's another issue too, because the kid gets busted, and how do we defend him? That kind of deal. And I'm sure there's other areas to where we can attack this one. What do you think, Edward?
Well, that's not my subject matter on the defense.
No, I know, but
we welcome the opportunity to talk about however we can in community education. Of course, our concern and what we would want is for folks to make good decisions to where they're not defendants and they don't need a defense attorney. That's the best choice. But if folks are making a decision and they're accused of an offense, I can't opine on it, but it's something that folks should be aware of, and that the defense that they may have available to them. I will share that juveniles we have juvenile public defenders in our county. So if there's a juvenile that's arrested for an offense in Cameron County, they'll be appointed counsel by the county. Now Spanish I cannot do, but Adela is fluent.
Yes, I'm fluent in Spanish, and I'm also an interpreter. So
Yeah, and we
yes,
can
I
definitely
I
do
can
this
do
in
it in
Spanish.
Spanish.
We've done Spanish shows before, so that would not be a problem. That's a very good idea, Lynn. I didn't think about it, but I know it would have popped out eventually. But I'm glad you're bringing it up because that brings it to the top of the list, and that's going to be a priority. Thank you. So I want to share one picture, and we saw this earlier in the video entrance. But this is why we're doing this, guys, because the youth are the target, and the youth are not high schoolers, even though the high schoolers are some of the ones that are getting beat up with this. But they start at a very young age. E-juice flavors make it easy for the kids to start vaping. It's again, there's that lollipop. It's something that they're used to having in there. Hey, Abel, how's it going? Hey, yes, so education.
That's right.
What can I say? Adela, any last words?
Thank you very much for listening to this show, and thank you, Edward. He's my supervisor. I don't know if you guys let me explain. I work at the Cameron County District Attorney's Office, and I will continue working here until I can get sworn in and start my new position, but that won't be until January of 2023. In the meantime, I'm still an assistant district attorney, and I have the privilege and the honor for working for Edward Adrian Sandoval, who is awesome, and for Mr.
Cool.
Luis Science also.
Awesome.
And Adela's humble, man. She's one of the best litigators in the state, and I continuously learn from her on a daily basis. She's one of the most tenacious lawyers I've ever met. And it's sad to see her leave us because of the good she does for the community.
Wow.
But we're going to gain it from her being on the bench and
Yes.
and the insights she can bring to the bench. It's going to be a plus for the community.
Super, man, super.
Thank
One more comment here is thank you. Thank you, Adela and Edward. Yes, I have to say watermelon tastes better than tobacco and whatever else they throw in there. Yes. That's true. I mean, it's funny, but it's true. It's true. It's verdad.
Right.
Vangela, any last words?
Well, one thing that I always tell students when, they're caught with something, or I tell them, look, you made a mistake, and this mistake doesn't define you. And there are things that you can do to correct your ways, learn from it, and move on with your life and help others, help others so that they don't make the same, that same choice that you made. And, it's amazing to see sometimes the little light bulb go on when you talk to them in that way, because they automatically think that's it. They're done. They're screwed for the rest of their life, and they're not. It's a learning experience.
That's perfectly said.
Wow. No, está bien. Very good. Well, guys, this is it. I'm going to exit the show. We don't want to go any long. Yeah, go ahead, Edward. Do you have something?
Oh no, I want to say thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
I mean, if there's ever any other type of criminal justice issue that you have questions on, or we can be of assistance with, please let us know. Community education is a priority, and I'll stress what Mr. Sines says every time he attends these lectures, because he does. Pre-COVID, this was a passion of his, right, in talking to students. I mean, he's a former teacher and a school board member. He appreciates and recognizes, and he appreciates and recognizes the importance of the youth in our community. Is that we much rather talk to them in the classroom and see them there before we see them either as victims of crime or as defendants. And I'm a humble guy, but myself and my coworkers are actually really good at what we do, and we never ever want to have to be put in a position to do really good at our job to hold someone accountable when we could have avoided that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And again, I extend the invitation to you as I have to Adela. This show, Talk Show Central RTV, is open to you to come in and inform the community. We are all about information and community, and community service in the sense. None of the drama goes on in this show. It's all about information and good fun. And so, anytime you want to present something to the community, hey, this feel free to call us, and we'll open the platform for you. As Adela knows already. And so, guys, man, it's awesome. I mean, it's just sad that we have to do this type of shows, but you know what? It's great that we have the experts that can handle this topic and can guide us through it and can teach us how to teach our kids to stay away from this danger, because it is a danger that's attacking our society, our schools, our overall our families, and overall mess up our economy, because or at least our individual household budgets, because hey, something like this, it gets pretty expensive when you got your kid going to trial or whatever. And so and plus the ruining of their lives. So as parents, definitely get educated, talk to your kids about this. It's their future, it's your future as well. And so hey, anyway, I'm gonna start the music.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank you all.
Hey, Vangela,
Thank you.
don't go. We'll be backstage. I'll put you guys backstage. Thank you, Eduardo. Thank you, Adela and Vangela. We'll see you. This is Royal with Talk Show Central RTV style, saying good night, and we will see